set it up. St. Kitts and Nevis is always ready, willing and able to welcome regional and global business and trade opportunities to our shores. In fact, our red carpet is always left out. We look forward to strengthening the work of CARICHAT in providing the necessary platform for increasing business, not only in St. Kitts and Nevis,
Also, you're not
but
because
wider
you're not
Caribbean.
gonna restart the program. Are you sure the region? No, because this one. Okay, and then capture is in the A. Capture. No, turn off again.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing I wore heels today, otherwise we would not have been able to see me around the My name is Priya Murad, and I am the Vice President of the Energy Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago. My presentation today is a little bit different to the others. I am going to focus specifically on the energy sector of Trinidad and Tobago, some of the problems we're facing, so for that I might need more than 10 minutes, and some of the opportunities that are arising, because it's not all about doom and gloom. Externally it may seem like that, but it's not. We have quite a few upcoming projects that I will touch on as well. So a little bit on the Energy Chamber itself. We are the representative organization for the oil and gas, petrochemical and heavy industrial sectors. Our membership runs across the entire value chain of the energy sector. So we have the major operators, upstream companies, we have the downstream companies, and the majority of our membership would be actually energy services companies. I think externally when people think about the energy sector, they tend to think about large operators, and they don't realize that there's a large group of companies that are homegrown. Some of them would have started as mom and pop operations that have become competitive over time, and they service the energy sector. And there are a lot of opportunities in that area. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. It should be noted that Statsoli, the state oil company of Suriname, are actually members of the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Chamber, and very active members as well. In terms of our key advocacy areas, we focus on local content development, the export of energy services, lobbying for a more internationally competitive tax regime, developing a new model for risk and reward along the gas value chain, creating a more favorable industrial relations climate, and improving energy efficiency and renewables. Now what I really want to touch on, the important part of this, it's not about the energy chamber, it's really about the trends that we're seeing affecting the local energy sector. So I'll go through global, regional, and then local trends. In terms of global trends, there are two major ones. The first is a global intention to reduce CO2 emissions in an effort to reduce global temperature rise. So let's put this into context to understand why this is important. Trinidad and Tobago is actually the second largest emitter per capita of emissions in the world. So we're second to Qatar. So that does already put us in a good position. It means we really have to focus on energy efficiency and renewable energy technology. So Trinidad and Tobago has committed to reduce CO2 emissions by 15% by 2030, which is a huge undertaking. We've ratified the Paris Agreement, and we're now engaging in activities to reduce emissions in transport, power generation, and other industrial sectors. So there are huge opportunities for regional companies in energy efficiency. We have also a renewable energy target of 10% by 2021. So recently our Ministry of Energy issued a RFP for grid-scale renewable projects for 130 megawatts, which is roughly about 10% of the power demand. BP and Shell put forward a joint bid, and our Prime Minister has indicated that they have won and will now proceed to negotiate a power purchase agreement. So a project like this will ultimately require support services. Again, another opportunity for regional companies. The second trend is automation, digitalization, and artificial intelligence. This is fundamentally changing the way the energy sector works. So we're seeing advances in technology actually making operations less risky and more efficient and even safer. So operators now can actually do offshore activities from their head offices onshore. They can do inspections, confined space actions using technology like drones and other sensory equipment. Companies are also now developing sophisticated analytical software that assists in the interpretation of geological data and production data. So overall, these two global trends are really creating opportunities through increasing the need for specialized services and technology. In terms of local, regional trends, I'll deal with regional first and then talk about some of the local ones. So we know regionally there are some key developing trends that are creating opportunities. The obvious ones would be in Guyana and Suriname. They're both facing exciting opportunities. And Trinidad and Tobago, with its years of expertise, wants to share our experience. However, we understand that mutually beneficial partnerships that are grounded in a level playing field is a way forward. With emerging regional partners, there's no other way, because it is the only way to promote local content development. Now, one of the things people note is that, yeah, Trinidad wants to export services, but what we really want to export would be expertise. We don't have the labor force in Trinidad to export people to take jobs. We can train your people so that you become experts and then develop your energy services sector. And that's the model that we're looking at. Venezuela, on the other hand, offers some good opportunity, but it's very risky and uncertain. Recently, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago indicated that operators on either side of the border will endeavor to exploit their own resources. Previously, there were plans for a coordinated approach, but that's not the way we're going to go anymore. There are other major regional developments in deep water gas in the Southern Caribbean. So recently, you would have seen that BHP has done some exploratory work in Barbados, in water adjacent to Trinidad and Tobago. And recently, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and the Prime Minister of Barbados announced a unitization agreement which allows BHP to explore in both regions. So, if hydrocarbons are found, it will make it easier for us to negotiate an agreement around the use. There have also been gas discoveries in Grenada, and there might be opportunities to bring that gas to Trinidad and Tobago for processing as well. Now, again, another, I won't say it's a trend, but an episode that affected the energy sector would be the closure of the Petrotrin refinery in December 2018. So the refinery now remains closed. However, the OWTU, which is a union in Trinidad, has formed a company and put in a bid to resume operations at the refinery. So final negotiations are actually taking place to get that refinery operational again. When it starts back up, there will be required services. And then there'll be that opportunity again to provide those energy services to the refinery. And then renewable technology, as mentioned previously, we have a renewable energy target of 10% by 2021. So there are growing opportunities for companies in this area, especially regional companies. Now, in terms of purely local trends, we have had falling oil production. And honestly, it is difficult to improve oil production with our current fiscal regime. And I'll tell you why. There's something called a supplemental petroleum tax. And that SPT kicks in at $50 a barrel. And it is something like 35% on production. So companies actually make more money when oil is $49 a barrel versus early 50s. So this SPT acts as a disincentive. right? And that's one of the reasons oil production has been falling. Nobody wants to invest. But Trinidad and Tobago still has significant oil reserves and acreage. What we should be looking at is using more sophisticated technology to get that oil out of the ground. And this is another area of investment in Trinidad and Tobago. Apart from oil production falling, we've seen some issues with natural gas as well. We've gotten to a plateau, and there's several issues that have led to this. I won't go into all of them, but hopefully with new projects coming on, we can actually maintain that plateau. It may be difficult to get back up to the higher levels that we want to see. We actually have an installed capacity of 4.2 BCF, but production capacity is only about 3.6 BCF. So it's a sizable gap, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to exceed. A lot of work would have to go in to get back to installed capacity. But why did gas production decline? Simply because there was no drilling. So what do we need to do? We have to put in incentives for gas. We simply have to. We don't have a choice, right? But it's not that easy because there's some hurdles that we have to overcome. Trinidad and Tobago takes significantly longer in approval times to get to first gas. Now here on this graph, this difference may not look like much, but we have to put it into context. A gas field declines by about 12% per year. So every month counts when you're in a curtailed gas situation to get new gas on stream. So we're trying to arrest the decline. Now we have some upcoming projects that we're hoping is going to help. These are major upcoming. So we have the cross-border, which I mentioned before, but BP, BHP, and Shell all have upcoming projects. That Ruby project will actually add about 16,000 barrels per day of crude. The other projects are gas and will not come on stream until about 2022. But again, these upcoming projects will create opportunities for energy services companies, locally and regionally. Now, when I talk about energy services companies, as I initially mentioned, are the companies that basically sell services to the large multinational and state-owned production companies. And they actually account for the majority of people employed in the energy sector. This is where we see a huge area of opportunity for partnerships. So we have both Surinamese and Guyanese companies that have formed partnerships with Trinidad and Tobago service companies. The opportunities with these partnerships would be to develop skills. These skills are very specialized in the energy sector, but once developed can actually move from location to location to provide similar services to regional markets. The obvious ones would be Guyana, Suriname, Barbados. Some of these skill sets are easily transferable. You have like electrical engineering, inspection, building and construction, legal services, consulting services. Now, as with every opportunity, there might be a small hurdle to overcome. The hurdle here would be to efficiently utilize the CARICOM free movement of people provisions. This is the one hurdle to this. Now, there are also opportunities to move skills from oil and gas to renewable energy across the region. So as mentioned before, this is a growing area of opportunity, but it will require specialized skills and equipment for large-scale renewable energy projects. Now, the Energy Chamber is always willing to assist in any way we can. We host incoming delegations, we set up business-to-business meetings, we even intervene when regional companies complain about trade hurdles that they're facing. So feel free to reach out to find out more about the opportunities available in the energy sector, the service companies. Feel free to complain to us as well if you're facing a non-tariff barrier, so that we can intervene and get to the bottom of it. We have really good relationships with our government stakeholders and other agencies, and we're more than willing to help. We're just a phone call or an email away. Thank you.
That's
Okay,
not
could
not
we-
wasted.
Professor Ortega would like to ask you to hold, because we have a request for a presentation by Mr. David Chinqui of he's Vice Chairman of the Bureau of Standards of Suriname. And he will respond to some matters that were raised this morning. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is David Chin. I'm the representative of the Suriname Chamber of Commerce and the board of the Suriname Standards Bureau. And I have the position of Vice Chairman there. And I understood that there has been some discussion about the issue concerning front of package labeling. And I would like to give you a little bit of information. Well, currently there is a standard with cross-Q which is in development, and it has been a hot issue for all chambers of commerce in the Caribbean because the Pan American Health Organization would like to promote healthy living, and in the standard they have included some negative signage, signs which are red and they look like a stop sign, and they would need to be put on certain products which have too much sugar or have a very high fat content, etc. The different manufacturers in the Caribbean have protested, also in Suriname, and the Suriname Bureau of Standards also is very sensitive to that, to those remarks. I have to inform you that at present those signs have been taken out of the main text of the standard and they have been put into an informative annex. That has been the result of the combined work of all the chambers of commerce, the producers in the Caribbean, and we would like to go one step further. Next week, CrossQ will have a meeting here in Suriname, and they will be discussing this aspect as well. We feel that it is very important to have a table which would indicate which amount of sugar is too much, which amount of fat is too much, etc. But we don't think it is good to put a negative sign for that. So the proposal next week will be to replace the stop sign, which is already not in the main text but in an annex, but to replace the stop sign with a neutral sign, which just says fat content or fat, or it says sugar, but no negative sign. So the consumer will not look at the product and see, well, this is like very bad, or it has a negative intonation. So the proposal is next week to get rid of the red sign and to introduce a neutral sign, or if that is not possible, to get rid of the signs altogether and to leave it to each country to decide which sign they would like to use. Okay, I have to address also another matter. The CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality has a certain procedure, and the procedure to create a standard entails that 75% of the votes in cross-Q would need to favor that standard. So each individual Chamber of Commerce represented here today should talk to the local Bureau of Standards of each CARICOM nation and to tell them that we don't want to have the negative signs included in the standard or in the annex. So if the Bureaus of Standards of all the CARICOM nations say we don't want that, CARICOM cross-Q will not get 75% of the votes and it will be denied. But of course, we don't want to stop progress, but we want to have progress with all actors engaged and all actors giving positive feedback to the document. Also, in case this standard will be approved in cross-view, and in case the negative signs will remain in the annex, then we will have a Caribbean standard, a cross-view standard, but then the procedure calls for each individual CARICOM nation to adopt this standard as a national standard. In that process, each stakeholder in all the CARICOM nations will get the opportunity to get feedback on such a standard. And if something is not in line with the interest of that country, the stakeholders have a say in it. Okay, let's say it gets adopted in a CARICOM nation, let's say Dominica, for instance, and the government would like to make this standard a mandatory standard. Then again, there is a procedure, and that procedure requires that the Bureau of Standards and the government gives a moment of feedback to the stakeholders again to give their opinion on such a standard, which is to become mandatory. So there are several layers which have to be passed before something like this would become a mandatory standard. But please note, everybody here would like to advocate healthy living, that's clear, but we like to do it in a way which is in good partnership between the government and the private sector. So that is a very important issue. And the position of Suriname is that we do not approve this standard with a negative sign in it. And I would like to suggest to all chambers of commerce represented here today to contact your Bureau of Standard, your National Bureau of Standard, to adopt the same position. So the 75% with a negative sign will not be used. That's my short presentation for this moment. Are there any questions? No questions. Okay. Very good. Then I would like to regret this.
Thank you, David.
It seems as if technology is leaving us a little bit today. I'll just start by introducing myself. Continue to win time. My 10 minutes is not going in. Just clarifying. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Goedemiddag.
Goedemiddag.
Guten Tag. Buenas tardes. And bonjour.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to speak as much as possible all of the CARICOM languages. My name is Benjamin Ortega. I am the president of the Chamber of Commerce of St. Martin, and I am always happy to be here in St. Martin, up here in Suriname. You see how I'm thinking? Because Suriname is for me kind of like my second home. Milo Islam. Milo. So, I would like to also thank Suriname Chamber of Commerce, Karisham. I am not only Benjamin Ortega, but I'm also the Benjamin of Karisham. Only last week we signed and agreed to join. And one of the things that is in my presentation, gentlemen, you're almost ready? But one of the things in my presentation is that St. Martin is not a CARICOM member. We have applied in 2018 as an associate member, and we are waiting and pending that official response. I have here a short video for you. It's very short, so now officially my 10 minutes to go in. If you don't mind, it's outside the sound. So as the ending of the video said, be good. That's how we would like to consider St. Martin. We are good, coming to business in St. Martin. Some facts about St. Martin before we start with the presentation. St. Martin is a unique place to do business. We have here the friendly business island. St. Martin, only 37 square miles. It's a fraction of all of the countries that were presented here today by Karisham, and definitely a minute fraction of the other CARICOM members, but the presentations that we've seen yesterday. And it's very sad that I get the opportunity to meet, for example, our Guyanese Chamber of Commerce. Because St. Martin as well I'm sure betting have everyone present here today living in St. Martin, a representation of your country. We know more than 110 nationalities from different countries throughout the world that call St. Martin their home. 27 square meters. Small, little doctor. The presentation I'd like to go in just quick with it because there was a lot of smart CARICHAM members and CARICOM members yesterday in the banks give you a lot of facts on their perspective on doing business in Caribbean. But I would like to keep it very light here. So the presentation will say like, okay, what does the Chamber of St. Martin do? What is our missions and values? Our current support to businesses, business development plans that we have. I'll give a short little information on our macroeconomic development, and the fund will start it. Fun fact, I mentioned already that St. Martin is not a CARICOM member and our growing destination. So, Chamber of Commerce, we're not only